Hello, everybody, and welcome to Friday Apocryphal Podcast, your one-stop shop for everything Friday Apocryphal and podcast. And boy, do we have a show for you today. Today we are covering the Apocalypse of Adam, chapters 1 through 4.
And so initially, I wasn't sure how this one was divided, because if you remember the last one, it was divided into tractates, right? Because those were the manuscripts that we found them on. Like, this one, for example, I would have, unless we had that translation right there, I probably would have started this off with 64 first, because it was on Tractate 64 from the Nag Hammadi library.
Is it all mixed up?
No, the thing is, this one's in order, right?
Okay, so it's just on Tractate 64.
No, on track 64, and the thing is, it goes from 64 to from 64 to 80 something. So it would have started the same way that one of our recent books started. I forget which one it was that started that way. Was the last one we read, or was it a different one? Maybe the one before last.
It would have been the Apocryphal and Thekla, when we were talking about being part of the Apocryphal.
Oh, yeah, I remember that
being a separate thing.
We had that. Did we have that starting at a different?
Unless we were talking about the Gospel of Truth, but I am not sure. Maybe
it might. Man, I don't remember which one it was.
It was like a month ago.
Right. Yeah. So, but either way, I'm sure someone in chat remembers, or we can just check and look back. But either way, I'm glad that we had that translation, because in this one, they actually do bother making them into chapters for our convenience, right?
Good.
But either way, the Revelation of Adam, it's the last tractate of the Nag Hammadi Codex 5, which contains 3 other texts belonging to the same literary genre: the Revelation of Paul, the first Revelation of James, and the second Revelation of James. Translation from a Greek original, the Revelation of Adam fills 21 pages.
So I understand that you're telling me this, but what are you reading from?
Oh, yes. Well, I am reading from the Nag Hammadi Scriptures, the revised and updated translation of sacred Gnostic texts, edited by Marvin Mayer.
Well, I'm reading from the Old Testament Pseudepigrapha, edited by James H. Charlesworth, with a new translation and introduction by G. McCrae.
And this one is, the introduction is by Madeline Scapello, translated by Marvin Mayer. He's done a lot of translation work. Mm-hmm. I know he's the editor, but he's also done a lot of translation work. Oh, hold on. Was it this one? Maybe it was the Gospel of Truth?
Might have been. And yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, it looks like it was the Gospel of Truth. Looking at it right now, I'm just very lucky to have flipped to this exact section. Yes, it was the Gospel of Truth.
The Apocalypse of Adam, it's a Gnostic secret revelation or apocalypse communicated by Adam to his son Seth, and destined to be preserved for Seth's posterity, the race of the Gnostics.
Yeah. Those good old Sethians, right?
Mm-hmm. So, hey, the descendants of Cain, right?
Yeah.
They're attached to all sorts of historical groups. I wonder if that's what these guys were doing.
It probably is, right? Because there's also this group of people called Cainites, who were, they thought of themselves as the direct descendants of Cain.
Of course, we know that there's an established Sethian Gnostic tradition. So here's where it's coming into play. Because it is narrated by Adam immediately before his death, it also bears some of the literary characteristics of the genre Testament. Adam first narrates the story of the fall in a peculiarly Gnostic version, without much direct dependence on the Genesis garden story.
Right, they care way less about that and a lot more about, a lot of the stuff we read when it comes to Gnostic literature, like Yaldabaoth, right? So after his introductory speech, Adam recounts to Seth the revelation he received in his sleep. 3 persons who could not be identified because they were from the world above appeared to him and invite him to arise from the sleep of death and hear about the eternal realm and the seed of the seed of that human to whom life has come.
Mhm.
This revelation, which begins at the revelation of Adam, which begins here, relates the stages of the struggle between the divine figures descending periodically into this world and the inferior creator of this world called Sakla.
Adam then foretells the story of the flood, of the resettlement of the world, and of a cosmic conflagration that is perhaps based on the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. These catastrophic events are interpreted as efforts on the part of the Creator God to destroy the race of Seth, of which he is envious. But heavenly beings save them in each case. In a third episode, a saving figure called the Illuminator of Knowledge comes.
Good old Illuminator.
And he is persecuted by the powers of the world, who in their wrath are perplexed about his origin and their own ignorance. There follows a long poetic passage in which erroneous myths about his origin on the part of 13 kingdoms are narrated in very stylized form.
That's also an interesting note there.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe in your version, it actually talks a little bit about the date and the origins of this text.
Mm-hmm. But it ties together that, in contrast with these, the kingless race, i.e. the Sethian Gnostics, know his true origin from above and are enlightened by him. The people of the earth then acknowledge their error in the supremacy of the Gnostics.
Yeah, there you go.
So it's going to be very pro-Gnostic.
Oh, I wonder why.
But yes, I do have some on the text itself. The Apocalypse of Adam is preserved in a unique manuscript in the collection of Coptic codices discovered near Nag Hammadi, Egypt in 1946. It is the fifth and last treatise in Codex 5. 64, 1 through 85, and 32.
Yeah, and that's how I was going to name it until they were like, you know what, maybe some chapters will be useful.
Right. Which also contains 3 Christian Gnostic apocalypses.
Which I mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And a speculative non-Christian Gnostic tractate.
Yeah. But yeah, I think on the next page, actually, there should be stuff about the date.
The Codex may be dated to the second half of the 4th century AD. Codex 7 of the same collection has been dated after AD 348 on the basis of documentary papyri embedded in its cover.
Ah, okay. So they literally dated the text, yeah.
The codex is now preserved in the Coptic Museum at Old Cairo, inventory number 10548. Almost all of the pages of the Apocalypse of Adam have suffered damage at the bottom, and sometimes at the top, so that several lines of text are often missing.
Yeah, that is true. I was reading a version online, and it was kind of shocking how much of it was actually missing.
It's written in the Sahidic dialect of Coptic, undoubtedly a translation from Greek.
Yeah, there is... In this translation, it doesn't look like there's a lot missing, but there is a decent chunk that's missing. Mm-hmm. I believe even after the first introductory section.
Hey, guys, remember that guy who you'll never forget and then all that stuff was missing?
Yes, I do remember that guy that I'll never forget.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then his name and all the stuff about him was missing?
Yes,
And then it kept going without him?
Right.
But it's recorded in the Chronicles of the Kings.
Yeah, that's where everything is, yeah.
But here, in the rare cases where the apocalypse seems close to the biblical text, it's clear the Septuagint. So whoever wrote this was depending on Greek sources.
Right, so they probably wrote it in Greek, yeah.
Yes. There's a little more about the date. The only certain conclusions that may be drawn about the date of composition of the work is that it's older than the extant Coptic version, because the form of the Gnostic myth contained in it shows apparently primitive features, and because the work seems to be independent of Christian influence, some interpreters assign it a conjectural date in the 1st or 2nd century AD. One author detects in its description of the destruction by fire an allusion to the Vesuvius eruption in AD 79.
Interesting. It's probably hinted at in Revelation as well, so it wouldn't be completely out of the question.
And that would date it no earlier than the 1st decade of the 2nd century.
Yeah.
The illusion is a doubtful one, however. The limits for dating are approximately the first to the 4th centuries AD, and the document probably belongs earlier rather than later in this period. In addition, it may contain traditional elements that are much earlier.
The thing is, we've read quite a few works on this show and on Atheist Sunday School. So, right? Yeah, it's crazy. You'd be surprised. So I think that if there are some older elements, I mean, we tend to be pretty good at picking stuff out that sometimes even some scholars haven't noticed, like with the Gospel of Truth, the Johannine connection.
But would it be, I mean, could it be a reference to Vesuvius? I recently went to a museum exhibit where Pompeii.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And one of the things that surprised me about it was that Pompeii was apparently not that well known.
Right, yeah. It was, I mean, it was, fairly decent town.
But to the point where within a few generations, people couldn't tell you, oh, this on this map, this is where Pompeii was.
Right, yeah.
Right. So it very quickly people forgot about it. I wonder how well known the Vesuvius eruption actually was.
Right, yeah. Well, the thing is, because it's probably mentioned in Revelation itself, probably fairly well. Actually, you know what? No, yes. I know that they tied it in to something like Sodom and Gomorrah because at the Vesuvius eruption, or was it at Vesuvius? No, it was... Okay. So either way, there was it? Okay, yeah. So yeah, it was definitely at Pompeii. So at Pompeii, there was a inscription into one of the well, I mean, it was turning into rock, right? But in one of the rocks, there was an inscription that said Sodom Gomorrah. So it's clear that someone came back later and made that tie in their head.
But when?
When? Probably not that far. I think the thing is, it wasn't that long after the actual eruption.
There wouldn't have been that much opportunity because when the eruption occurs, very soon thereafter, things are covered. I mean, it's not immediate, but it's
someone came back later and did that. But
I mean, by the time we got to it, was buried.
Yeah. But the thing is, what I'm saying is that people, even of the same period, not too long after, were making connections between that and Sodom and Gomorrah.
But that's speculative, right?
No, they literally wrote Sodom.
I know
and
that
Gomorrah.
they wrote it, but you don't know exactly when, right? And what opportunity would they have to get there and write it at what time?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure on that.
That's the question because that determines everything.
Sure.
I imagine at a certain point they literally would not be able to reach whatever surface they wrote on.
I mean, I'm not sure because I only saw a picture of the actual stone and not like the surroundings.
And it looked very clearly older inscription.
It was really worn down.
Okay.
Like really, really worn down to the point where I wouldn't have even known that there was something written there unless someone actually pointed it out.
Look over there.
Like it was really faded. But either way.
Okay. Interesting. I still don't think that we're probably going to see
we'll see.
Vesuvius.
We'll see.
Even this person says that it's spurious.
Yeah.
Okay, we know about where Nag Hammadi is. What is this? Okay. Some of the Nag Hammadi codices bear indications that they were copied in the vicinity of, and perhaps in close relation to, the monastic communities of Upper Egypt, especially Chenoboskion.
Are you okay?
I don't know. Is there a better way to say that?
No. Chenoboskion. I don't know. Yeah, you're right. There's not really a better way to say that.
No. The site of the find confirms this location. If the Apocalypse of Adam is a late document, it might have originated in Egypt, but there's no positive reason to associate the Greek original with Egypt, and it might have been composed anywhere in the Mediterranean world. Epiphanius, writing his descriptive catalog of heresies around 375 AD, describes a sect called the Archontics, whose teachings resemble the Apocalypse of Adam in several ways.
That's interesting.
And he locates this sect in his own time in the province of Palestine and in Armenia. The connection with the Archontics is not a strong one, but an earlier Palestinian origin for the apocalypse is not inherently improbable.
Right, yeah. But that's an interesting connection that we can keep in mind, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more in here regarding like the historical importance of the piece and the theological importance.
But
of
the theological stuff we'll get to it because we're reading it. So
Sakla.
Yeah. Yep.
And so we've covered like the demiurge and Gnostic stuff before. So none of this stuff is really going to come as like a massive surprise.
Right. I think just the naming Sakla is a different one.
Yeah,
that would be really the biggest difference. But we'll see how close this is to other Gnostic texts we've read.
All right, here's something. The cosmos of the Apocalypse of Adam is subject to the influence of a host of spiritual beings, both gracious and malevolent,
as is tradition,
variously called Aeons, angels, and powers.
I see. Okay.
The terms are not used consistently.
Unfortunate.
But the powers in general are the minions of the creator god who oppress humanity and attempt to persecute the Gnostics, while the great eternal angels or the holy angels are representatives of the eternal God who shares the knowledge of the Gnostic race and intervene in the world to save them from harm.
Yeah, that seems pretty Gnostic. And these are very similar philosophies on life. But they usually differ in like what nature.
Right.
Yeah.
The Apocalypse of Adam is unusual in that it is clearly dependent on the Genesis story, but never quotes it exactly except for an occasional word or phrase.
Yeah, but the thing is, why would it have to, right? Because this is like this is not. Essentially, in a way, it's like midrashic, right? Because
it has the character of a Gnostic midrash on the text.
Yeah,
but a text already mediated by a Jewish exegetical tradition. There are no other exact allusions to the Old Testament text in the document, but there is evidence of an acquaintance with the Old Testament, especially the figure of the Isaiah servant of Yahweh and the depiction of the illuminator of knowledge. Several New Testament passages may be cited as parallels to statements in the Apocalypse of Adam, but there's reason to postulate dependence on the New Testament. There's no reason to postulate dependence.
Yeah, we'll see. Testament. We'll see if there's dependence.
But
we're the arbiters of that.
It closely relates to the extensive Adam literature and has many parallels to the life of Adam and Eve in particular.
We will see.
Yes. So we are going to get... Oh, hold on. There's something else in here.
Oh, was there something good?
Yeah, something good, I think. In addition, the Apocalypse of Adam shares its concern about the meaning of baptism and various names of angels with Gnostic writings, especially the Nag Hammadi tractates Zostrianos and Triple Protenoia, and an untitled work from the Bruce Codex. What's the Bruce Codex? For the Bruce Codex tractate, see C.A. Baines, a Coptic Gnostic treatise contained in the Codex Brucicanus, Cambridge, 1933. The Nag Hammadi tractates mentioned are published in translation in J.M. Robinson Nag Hammadi Library.
Okay, so is it the publication?
Okay, and there's a translation note already.
Oh, is there?
In the translation that follows, the divisions into paragraphs and section titles have been introduced by the translator. Most of the explanations of the Illuminator's origin are set off by paragraph signs in the margin of the manuscript. To facilitate references to the text, page numbers of the original manuscript have been included.
Yeah, they are in there. Yep.
So Anything else you want to cover?
No. Because this one just generally does like a coverage of what it's about, some of the motifs, like the fact that it is an apocalyptic work. So yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, there's really not much more. So we can hop right into the reading.
Then let me show you how it is. 64.
Well, yeah, it would be 64, but also
No, it's literally written there. 64.
right, because
64,
that's where it starts. Yeah,
the apocalypse of Adam.
right, but it's still chapter 1. Yeah, so or they have it labeled there as chapter 1.
Chapter 1. The Revelation, Apocalypse. It literally has Revelation, opening parenthesis, Apocalypse.
Because that's the
closing.
Greek word that means revelation.
Yeah, but it's not like footnote. There's tons of footnotes, but this is not footnoted. He just added it into the text, which Adam taught his son Seth in the 700th year. The 700th year, according to the Septuagint of Genesis 5:4, Masoretic text being 800, is the length of Adam's life after the birth of Seth.
Yeah, in the Septuagint. Yeah.
The apocalypse is a deathbed testament, therefore, of Adam.
Yeah.
Okay, the 700th year, saying, "Listen to my words, my son Seth." Oh, I need a voice for Adam, don't I?
Man, you know what? You've used so many voices, I've forgotten which ones we have used. I'm pretty sure you've had an Adam voice,
Yeah,
but I don't quite remember it.
Well,
neither do I. I must have during the life of Adam and Eve.
do we need to do anything ever?
No, we don't need to do anything.
Oh, no,
All
it
right,
looks
later,
like
guys.
everything in here is said by Adam.
Right,
So
yeah.
I would have to do it for a very
the whole
long
time, yeah.
Okay,
So
we're not
read it.
going to do that. That's not going to occur.
All right.
Listen to my words, my son Seth. When God created me out of earth, along with Eve, your mother, okay, interesting. I used to go about with her in a glory which she had seen in the Aeon from which we had come.
Yeah, that she had beheld in the eternal realm, which is still Aeon.
Okay, glory is a literal translation for Greek doxa.
Yes.
It may sometimes refer to honor or dignity, sometimes to external. As often in the Septuagint. The word aeon here, loan word in Coptic, sometimes a temporal, sometimes a spatial concept. In addition, in Gnostic literature, it's used for personal beings. Okay, which we've encountered many times. What I think is interesting here, two things. One, they establish like the Lilith origin for Eve, right? Because she's created concurrently with Adam.
Oh yeah, concurrently, yeah.
And two, they
keep going.
they were
There's a lot.
well, hold on. They were created,
Yeah.
but they came from somewhere and they had memories of where they were from before they were created. So whatever they are is not created by this
No. So no. The thing is, they walked in the Garden of Eden. That's where this eternal realm would have been. So yeah, after God created me out of earth, along with your mother Eve, I went about with her in glory that she and you keep reading.
Okay. She taught me a word of knowledge of the eternal God.
When the word for knowledge there is gnosis, by the way.
And we were like
shit.
the great eternal angels, for we were loftier than the God who created us, and the powers that were with him, whom we did not know.
Yeah, so it does share that parallel with the life of Adam and Eve, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But it is
Sorry, not the life of Adam and Eve. It was
not the life of Adam.
creation of the world. Was that on the creation
On
of
the
the world?
origin of the world.
On the origin of the world, yeah.
It still feels like a sequel to the life of Adam and Eve so far.
But more importantly here, so the fruit is a word.
It's the knowledge,
gnosis.
right?
Yeah. It's the gnosis. And it literally puts him in a position where he's superior to the creator deity, right?
Even better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Or sorry, better than God, right?
Which in Genesis is kind of what the fear was, right? that they would then eat from the fruit of the tree of life and live eternally and be as gods.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
But these ones, even with the knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they consumed the fruit. So now they have the gnosis. And then there's the fall. Then God, ruler of the Aeons and the powers, separated us wrathfully. And there's a couple of footnotes here.
Yeah, this is remember, we were actually just talking about this before the show, how this is, the thing is, so they were created at once.
They were an
separated.
androgynous being,
right?
And then they were separated into man and woman.
Yeah, so I went about with her in glory.
Right.
So
because it's a Hellenization, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
it's interesting that she had that glory, but he didn't. So initially, but go ahead.
And they were two separate people that were in one.
Right. Yeah.
But there's a footnote, and it says it just references what you said. Yeah. Then we became two Aeons. And the glory in our hearts deserted us, me and your mother Eve, along with the first knowledge that used to breathe within us. And the glory fled from us. Okay, this isn't a reference to the fruit.
Right, so the glory fled from us and entered another great Aeon and another great generation.
Yeah, the glory fled from us, entering into another great Aeon,
great
another great race.
All right, then.
Not generation, but race.
Well, sure.
Yeah, and there's another footnote, Genea.
Genea, yeah.
Genea. Geneva. Lake Geneva. Have you seen... Okay, so I've been watching YouTube, right?
You have been, okay.
Yeah, and I know Chris has his tirade about
right.
YouTube.
Yeah, I heard it, yeah.
So I've been watching YouTube, and I keep getting this ad that keeps popping up, and it's an ad to visit Lake Geneva.
Yeah, I've seen those too.
But weird, like, it's super weird. It seems like a cult thing. like there's this smiling guy, and he's just like,
visit Lake Geneva.
Lake Geneva. And they just keep putting him in different situations, and he just like really uncannily looks at the camera, and in the same way every time he's like, Lake Geneva. It's freaky, man.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen the same ones that you've seen, but I have seen like Lake Geneva advertisements. It's really weird. I don't know why they're doing that. What is so special about Lake Geneva?
Look,
it's the lake.
Gary Gygax lived there.
Whoop-de-fucking-do.
Mm-hmm. That's their claim to fame.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah, who watches YouTube?
Yeah,
you
no
should
one.
all be watching us through some kind of mirror that redirects our stream.
That's a good idea.
Right from the stream key, too. I guess you would need the stream key in order to do that.
But we're not
never
giving you
the
that.
stream
No,
key.
fuck off.
You can't have it.
No, you cannot.
But if you
Man,
found
imagine
a
the
way,
chaos.
I want to give him the stream key so bad now.
Look, if you
Imagine
find
the
a way
chaos.
tempting,
to
guys. I've
steal
never
the
wanted
stream
to.
key without us figuring it out, and you just use it for that and never use it for anything else, then good
Props
job.
to you.
Yeah, congratulations.
No, but either way, yeah. So it seems to have left them and then continued on to probably the Sethians, right?
We should
yes.
get a new patron tier. Stream
key.
Stream key tier. Make it real absurd.
Yep. It went into another great race.
Yeah, probably the Sethians.
And it just refers to Janaea and the thing. One that did not come from the Aeon that we came from, I and Eve, your mother. And this is in 65 now. But the knowledge entered into the seed of the great Aeons. So the point may be to assert that the external splendor of Adam and Eve reverted to heavenly beings, but their knowledge, gnosis, passed into the posterity of Seth. The words glory and knowledge are not in the text at this point, but are inferred from the grammatical gender of the verbs.
Yeah, that is that happens a lot.
The seed is the posterity or offspring of Seth. Two Greek
Yes.
words, possibly reflecting different sources, and a Coptic word are all rendered seed throughout the translation.
Yeah, so it seems like what's happening is that Adam is giving this this knowledge to Seth and for his generation, for his seed.
Well, it came from an Aeon that did not come from where
Yeah.
they came from. Now, this is implied to be Seth, but it's not made
Oh yeah,
explicit.
you're right, yeah.
So it could actually be something quite insidious, like
it was
Cain or something.
It was not from this present Aeon.
That's
a good point.
and
That is a
also
good point.
he's talking to Seth.
Right, yeah.
So
That is true.
why
So
wouldn't he
probably
say,
his brother.
it left us
Makes
and
sense.
went into you?
Right. So it might make sense if that's his brother. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. That is why I myself have called you by the name of that man who is the seed of the great race, or from whom it comes. Yes, the final phrase is obscure, maybe an editorial gloss. Seth, perhaps a heavenly prototype of Seth, is the man referred to, but it could just be this other human being who is like his brother, created concurrently with him.
Right, maybe.
It's just some other being from some other Aeon is Seth, and the Seth that we know is just named after him.
Right, that is true.
Yeah. After those days, the eternal knowledge of the God of truth withdrew from me and your mother Eve. Since that time, we have learned about dead things, like men.
Mortal things.
Then we recognized the God who created us, for we were not strangers to his powers, and we served him in fear and subjection. And afterwards, our hearts were darkened. Referring to Deuteronomy 6:13 and Psalm 2:11.
Oh, so this is okay. So then we came to recognize the God who had created us, for his powers were not foreign to us. We served him in fear and subservience. And after that, we grew dim in our minds.
Pull up Psalm 2:11.
I suppose I can do that.
Well, I pull up Deuteronomy 6:13.
All right, so Psalm 2:11. Wow, these I forget how short these first few psalms
Deuteronomy 6:13. Fear the Lord your God, serve him only, do not take oaths in his name. Okay, well,
Did you say Psalm 2:7?
No, Psalm 2:11.
2:11. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Serve the Lord with fear and rejoice with trembling. Yeah. Okay. I don't know why they. Yeah, we've seen that motif a billion times.
Fear and trembling.
Yeah.
Las Vegas. Okay. Well, that's the end of chapter 1. Hey, if you're enjoying the stream so far, give us a like, comment, subscribe, share it with Lawrence.
Yeah, share it with me. Only me. Go onto the Discord and share it with me.
P-Town, share this with all of your Christian friends.
Yeah, do that. This is the real truth is right here in the apocalypse of Adam. That's where the real story is.
Well,
So
I'm sure P-Town knows some Christians who might be interested in the apocalypse of Adam.
Maybe.
All right, we're on to chapter 2. Unless you want to take over for chapter 2.
I mean, I can.
No, I'll read 2, then you read 3. 3's longer.
Okay, sure.
3's about the length of 1 and 2 put together. All right, chapter 2, Adam's vision. This is still Adam talking. Now, I was sleeping in the thought of my heart, and I saw before me 3 men. The appearance of 3 men is a common thing.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Whose appearance I could not recognize because they were not from the powers of the God who created me. They surpassed those powers in their glory. The men spoke. We're in 66 now. Saying to me, "Rise up, Adam, from the sleep of death." Sleep of Adam and his awakening to a revelation of knowledge may be rooted in Genesis 2:21. So pull up Genesis 2:21. It's a widespread Gnostic motif. But
Yeah, I can remember seeing something like this before. Arise from the sleep of death, Adam.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that.
Genesis 2:21. Rise up, Adam, from the sleep of death, and hear about the Aeon and the seed of that man to whom life has come,
Yeah, so-
the one who came forth from you and from Eve your wife.
Yeah, that's the verse where he's asleep and God pulls Eve out of him.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's that verse.
But here they're talking about 3 men, and they say, hear about the Aeon and the seed of that man to whom life has come, the one who came forth from you and from Eve your wife. So maybe they're talking about Seth. Maybe he's trying to tie it together so that Seth will be interested in what he's saying on his deathbed. Now, you remember this scene from the life of Adam and Eve, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Or something similar does happen in the life of Adam and Eve, but it's a little different here. Also, the life of Adam and Eve, if I remember correctly, a good portion of it is told from the perspective of Eve, isn't it?
Some of it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
Now, she's still portrayed as like a total bitch.
Yeah.
I screwed up.
Right, yeah. Like,
The humility,
yeah, humility. Yeah, when
self-denigration.
right, that's exactly what it was. Yeah, and the thing is, Adam was still always calling her a bitch. Basically, it's like, look what you did. Yeah.
When I heard these words from those great men who stood before me, we sighed in our hearts, I and Eve, and the Lord, the God who created us, stood in our presence and said to us, Adam, why were you sighing in your hearts? Do you not know that I am God who created you, and that I breathed you in you a spirit of life for a living soul? The spirit is breath, as in Genesis 2:7.
Yeah.
Then darkness fell over our eyes.
You all right there?
No, darkness fell over his eyes.
I kept trying to do that sound earlier.
Oh yeah. I don't know what these fuckers were doing. So they just started making noises. He started weirdly whistling, and
Okay, so what weird sound can you make that other people can't?
dude, I have no idea.
You gotta be able to find one.
I'm sure there is one, but I haven't tried.
Okay, the bird whistle thing is very rare because it requires you to have enough space between your 2 front teeth where you can go like,
Yeah, that.
right? You need to have enough space there. Chris's thing is weird because it requires you to do a specific movement with your throat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got muscles there. I don't know why I do.
I don't know why this. I don't know
that's a weird
why
noise.
they're doing this.
Because we saw somebody the other day making weird noises on a video for, what was it? The anime noises? Yeah.
Yeah. So there was this video by this voice actress. You're gonna find this interesting.
Am I? Okay.
Right. So there's this video by this voice actress, and she was leading some people through some voice acting things. Now they talked about sighing. So you know how a sigh sounds?
Yeah.
And it's just like a gasp, not a sigh.
Oh, gasp. Okay.
A gasp. so
Yeah.
right? But they specified that in anime, they want to make it super dramatic. So they have a quick exhalation first, followed by it. So it's like,
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
right?
Sure.
And it's super uncomfortable to do that. It's super awkward,
Yeah.
right? So we tried to figure out what
Wow.
other obscure sounds were possible.
Okay.
And it's
All right.
an art form that radio stars used to participate in.
I suppose.
time.
Yeah.
We're kind of radio stars.
Yeah. We're radio stars
Well,
right here on
nobody's
the radio.
watching us on the screen,
Radio
are they?
killed the
I hope
radio
you're not watching us
star.
on the screen. So I hope for the audience out there, I hope what you do is
Have us on in the background while you do something.
put us on your phone, put it down, go do the dishes or something.
You miss me though. I walk by all the time.
You don't need to watch us reading books, okay? But you should watch us reading books just with your ears.
Wow.
And with your time. That's what YouTube cares about.
That is true. Watch time.
Yep. Which can be listen time. Doesn't have to be watch time.
Right.
All I'm saying is it's not super interesting.
Yeah, to watch Tubular Radio.
Now we could make it
Their eyes.
more interesting.
We could get a lot of diagrams and shit.
Okay, what I want to do, and just shoot this down if you think that it won't get views.
Okay.
Is I want us to do the show, but I want you to be like holding a book.
Okay.
And have you ever gone to like a circus?
Yeah, I've been to a circus.
So you know like the trapeze artists?
Yeah.
I'm not sure where this is going.
Wait, hold on.
So I want you to have like a clip-on mic, right?
While
Do a full trapeze act while reading the Bible. Do you think that would not get views?
I think it would get views in the same way a car crash would get views.
Yes, that's exactly the viewers we want. Probably because you would more than likely fall and probably break something.
Oh yeah.
Probably several somethings.
Probably die. Yeah.
Yeah. You know they have a net.
They do have a net. Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't trust the net.
Me neither. I've seen those
You
nets.
think it's safe?
No,
It's called a safety net, guys.
it doesn't help. It might help
A little bit.
statistically speaking.
Right. Statistically.
You broke an arm. You didn't die.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm. Anyways, I breathed you a spirit of life for a living soul. Then darkness fell over our eyes. Then the God who created us created a son from himself, and Eve, your mother. 3 lines missing.
Yeah. So there's some stuff missing here. Say our eyes became dim. Then the God who created us created a son from himself and your mother. Probably Cain.
Oh, yeah, because the demiurge is the father of Cain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which we mentioned very recently.
We did.
Yeah. Yep. This seems like a really consistent thing.
Yeah, doesn't
it
it?
was 1 John where that popped up.
Yeah, that's right.
That's super weird.
That's right.
Why
It was
would that pop up in 1 John?
right. Well, the thing is, so we talked about the connection between 1 John and like Gnosticism in general, but actually, that is fascinating. That's a good point. So yeah, I forget where it is, but I do remember it popping up in 1 John that they mentioned him being or they mentioned how evil Cain was, at least. They mention his
No, I remember we made a big deal about it.
yeah, we did, because it was really weird that they were talking about Cain. He's the worker of the devil, right?
Yeah. When they talk about him being like essentially the spawn of Satan.
Yeah, yeah. So
And I guess that's what's represented here.
yeah, this is just a different. Instead of being Satan, it's the creator God.
So the question is, were these authors dependent on 1 John?
Oh, I doubt it. Because this is a tradition that we've talked about before,
Right.
and I don't think it was only. It's not only in 1 John.
And it would maybe predate 1 John.
I'm not sure.
No,
We
probably
talked
not.
about the
It
dating of
probably
John.
would not predate 1 John.
Well, we talked about the dating of John and how that one is a little hard to date. End of the
Right.
1st century. So there is. Probably not
earlier on
predating it,
here, it
but
said
around
that
the same time period.
earliest that it could have been was around 78, or what was
That's
it?
just it could have been. Yeah,
The
possibly.
earliest it possibly could have been was in
70. Yeah, because of that one reference.
But other codices near there have been dated even into the 300s, and so no. That's the Vesuvius eruption was
Right,
in
yeah.
AD 79. So it could be no earlier than that if the Vesuvius eruption is referred to.
Yeah.
Which is a big if.
Right.
Um,
But the thing is, we have come across this tradition before,
yes.
and it doesn't seem like this is any citation
No.
of it or of 1 John. So I doubt that.
Well, unfortunately, 3 lines are missing.
That's true.
So Now we're on the 67th thing. Then I was defiled in the thought of my heart. I recognized a sweet desire for your mother.
Yep, that's how I'm going to come on to women. I recognize the sweet desire for you.
Wow. Why does that work? They'll be like,
I think that'll be
really?
good.
Imagine.
Think that'll
Okay,
pull in the ladies.
I
No.
want you to imagine the scene. You're talking to your dad.
Oh,
He's
no.
on his
Oh
deathbed.
God. Oh.
He's on his deathbed. He's telling you some things. He's like, Lawrence, then I recognize a sweet desire for your mother.
This is really bad. That's a very bad
I
attempt at a
think
Russian accent.
my Lawrence's dad became Slavoj Žižek.
Yeah.
It did.
Lawrence,
Yeah. Oh.
Large.
Bad.
I
Bad.
recognize a sweet desire for your mother.
Oh.
So bad it's good. Thanks.
Disgusting. Yeah. It's not something you want to hear from someone.
No, you don't.
No. Then the vigor of our eternal knowledge perished in us, and feebleness pursued us. For this reason, the days of our life became few, for I knew that I had become subject to the power of death. So here it's not like a curse that's put on him. It's that he
wanted to fuck.
wanted to fuck, and that means he dies.
Yes. As you can see.
But it's not even necessarily that him wanting to fuck means that he dies, right? Because it just means that he knows that he's going to die. Right?
Well, the power of our eternal knowledge was gone and weakness overtook us. So it's because he gave in to carnal desires.
For this reason,
Yeah.
the days of our life became few, for I knew that I had become subject to the
I
power
see.
of death. So he's saying, because of this,
He is-
because I knew that it was the case, right? Which is a weird thing to say, right? It's like, why do you support that conclusion?
Well, that might be a
Because
translation.
I know.
That might be a translation
It
issue
might
because
be.
this one
Let's
is
see what
I
you're
realized I had come under the authority of death.
Oh, so it doesn't say because I realized. So
Yeah,
it doesn't like place the value on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So rather than a cause, it would be a consequence.
Right.
Yeah.
Now we're on to chapter 3, and I'm going to
Yeah, I
let
can-
you start reading.
I can
And
take it.
Does yours stop at then Noah will divide the earth among his sons?
I have that. Yeah.
Okay, stop at that point, and I'll take over for chapter 4.
Okay. I mean, I could. Okay. Sounds good. So
This here, chapter 3 goes like all the way.
okay, fair enough. So Adam communicates the revelation to his son Seth. Okay, he's been continuing to do that. So now, my son Seth, I shall reveal to you what those people whom I once saw before me revealed to me. After I have completed the times of this present generation and the years of the generation to have come to an end, then Noah will come, a servant of the Lord who created us.
What the hell are you talking about? There's 3 lines missing. It just says, and the years of the generation have been fulfilled. Then 3 lines missing.
So, hold on. The restoration, though tentative, is suggested by Martin Krauss. It looks like, Coptic, page 68 is blank. But
Yeah, it was left entirely blank by the copyist.
yeah, interesting. And okay, so he has this reconstruction. That makes so much sense. It is in like a really weird amount of brackets. So yeah. Because I think what it's supposed to say is after I've completed the times of this present generation and the years of the assumption is the generation have come to an end, then textual break, the word servant, and then another textual break.
That's really weird.
So then he has a reconstruction.
I mean, it's super weird that you don't typically see this page intentionally left blank in ancient literature.
Well, it probably wouldn't have been.
No, the copyist here left it entirely blank.
Oh, left it blank? Or
Yes, it says P68 was left entirely blank by the copyist.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
That is weird.
Why? Why is it blank? That doesn't make sense.
Right. Interesting. But either way, it continues with Noah and the flood.
Mm-hmm.
In order that God, the ruler of the universe, the Almighty, might destroy all flesh from earth because of what they seek, his rainstorms will pour down on those who are from the offspring of people to whom has passed the life of knowledge, which came from your mother Eve and me. So this is, would this be, the citation here is Genesis 6 through 9. But, so if this is talking about all people, right? It has to be all people,
it's
right?
saying that the flood is prompted by the desires and pursuits of humanity.
Right, yeah. So for those people were strangers to him. After the great angels will, after that, great angels will come on high clouds, and they will bring those people into the place where the spirit of life dwells. And there's a textual break here, it looks like.
Not just a textual break.
7 lines.
7 lines. Yes.
Big one.
That's wild. Okay, really big textual break.
Huge textual break. And then we're on to 70.
Right. So the next page, and it continues, in the middle of a sentence, come from heaven to earth. The whole population of fleshy beings will be lost in the waters. So, well, whatever it was still talking about Noah.
Mm-hmm.
Then God will rest from his wrath. He will cast his power on the waters and endow his sons and their wives with power by means of the ark, along with the animals that pleased him and the birds of heaven that he called and released on the earth. So this seems...
the sons and wife are Noah's sons and wives, to be clear.
Yeah. Although here it does seem like he's giving them the power to survive this flood through the ark, right? But who else is going on this? The animals that pleased him and the birds that he called. So I don't know if this is him picking and choosing which animals survive.
Yeah,
or
which is not what happened in the Genesis story,
Right.
but I suppose that it accounts for extinct species in some way, which presumably they encountered at some point. But here there is an interesting bit. The verb for called,
Kaleo.
i.e. summoned, might be rendered named, in which case the allusion would be to the naming of the animals, which Genesis 2:19 through 20 gives the tax to Adam, not Noah.
It could be, so it could be either one of those because, that's what kaleo means. So it could be summon, call, whichever one it is. Also has been used for name or naming someone. God will say to Noah, whom generations will call Deucalion. Deucalion is the Greek
son of Prometheus.
The Greek flood hero.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is written in a Hellenistic context, obviously.
Yeah.
Because they are literally referencing, oh, don't worry, other places will just call you Deucalion. No,
it's not other places. It's
the generations. Generations will call Deucalion.
Yeah, the nations.
Right, yeah.
So only.
So they believe in you too.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. But they just have a different name for you. Look, I have protected you in the ark. Sorry. Behold!
Behold!
Perfect. I have protected you in the ark, along with your wife, your sons, their wives, their animals, and the birds of heaven that you called and released on the earth. There seems to be another textual break here. 4 lines. 4 lines are missing.
Not only that, but...
Also, did you know if you're a member of the channel, you have a behold...
B-mode.
Sorry. Yeah, you have a B-mote.
A B-mote.
You have a B-mote if you are a member of the channel. There it is.
Yep. B-mote.
Yeah.
Yeah. But not only that, but this sentence, I have guarded you from the ark together with your wife and your sons and their wives and their animals and the birds of heaven, which you called and placed upon the earth. That last bit, and placed upon the earth, is also bracketed. It's spurious.
Yeah. So that's like their best possible reconstruction.
Yeah. So this is really messed up. But the important thing, I think, is that they name drop Deucalion.
Yeah, right? That was pretty sweet.
Yeah. Luckily, that survived.
Right. And oh my, could you imagine if we had another one of those instances where it's like, whom generations will call nothing.
And you'll
lo,
never.
the great hero will come, and his name shall be...
Textual break. Also, Ember. Huge with the membership. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Now you can use the B-mote.
Yes.
Finally.
All right, carry on.
All right, we'll do. Therefore, I shall give you and your sons the earth. You and your sons will rule over it as kings, and you will refrain from producing offspring of people who will stand in some other glory instead of in my presence. So, yeah, this is the Sethian generation being called just fucking great in comparison to everyone else. Everyone else sucks. Yeah.
Chosen people, look at you. You're one of those.
Can
Big
you
claps
reread
for
that
Seth.
sentence?
You and your sons will rule over it as kings, and you will refrain from producing offspring of people who will stand in some other glory instead of in my presence.
Okay, a couple of different things here. And from you no seed will come forth of the men who will not stand in my presence in another glory. But there's an alternate rendering, the men who will not also stand in honor before me. The awkward double negative may be an error on the part of the Coptic translator. So
Okay.
it's not really clear here what is going on.
Interesting. So continuing on here, then people will come to be like a cloud of great light. Ooh. Those people who have been expelled from the knowledge of the great eternal realm, and the angels will come forward and stand before Noah and the realms.
And the Aeons here.
Yeah, Aeons. So Aeons and realms,
Just
it's the same word, yeah.
Yeah.
So it says here, those people, the seed or offspring of Seth, may be understood to have been expelled from paradise with its tree of knowledge, or sent out from the realms of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah,
Right.
they're going to be a very special group of people.
This strange separate race.
A cloud of great light. God will say to Noah, "Are you okay?"
The Gnostics.
Yeah, I know.
They're like the Theosophists. Not like the Theosophists, but like the Ariosophists.
Do they also believe in? I remember reading when we were going through what's her face, Blavatsky's stuff. Like she was like, "Oh, we're just clothed in."
No, remember when we were going through like Hammer of the Gods?
Yeah.
And like the esoteric Hitlerism stuff.
Yeah.
For that video that never happened.
Right.
So no, that was their whole thing. Is that they're from a separate lineage.
Right. Okay.
A different ancestry that's not. Here they're like a separate Aeon. That's like a species thing. That's like a massive jump. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
they're a different being altogether.
Different
guys, yeah.
being altogether. And that's exactly how the Ariosophists would see the Lemurians and the Atlanteans and the Aryans, right? And the Gnostics here, who are presumably the authors of the text who support the thing, talk about the Gnostics being this sacred race that is descended from Seth.
Right.
From the Sethians.
Interesting stuff.
Right? So it's almost exactly like the Ariosophist movement, except the technical details have changed. But in character, it's very similar.
Yeah, I see that. All right. Yeah, this is a sad story about why that video wasn't made. Just because your computer was like,
I
nope.
was so deep into it. I was like over 60 pages into writing the script, and then my computer died.
Yeah.
It was lost.
And I completely understand why you don't want to why you wouldn't want to restart that, because it's like a
I'm
kick
not
to the
doing it
nuts.
again.
Yeah.
No.
So
Watch that kill your current computer.
right. Yeah. It's like maybe there's something someone doesn't want us to know.
Are they sending you a very subtle message by destroying your computer?
Very
repeatedly?
subtle.
Very subtle.
I'm telling you guys, I found every single documentary that had ever been made on the subject. I combed through every single one of them, and I wrote something that was better than all of them,
Right.
and more informative and more accurate.
Wow.
And no, it's gone.
Yeah. That is it's a real shame.
Yeah.
Should just write a book.
We even
No, I'm not writing it again.
right, yeah. We even talked to the guy who wrote Hammer of the Gods.
Yeah, we found, and we were gonna get him to do some voice contributions,
Right, yeah.
too, when we did the video. But no,
Yeah.
No.
That's unfortunate.
unfortunate. It was gonna be like History Channel as fuck, guys. Ancient Aliens.
We would have blown him out of the water.
Mm-hmm. Our hair would just slowly get higher up and higher up throughout the course of the episode.
See, I need that. I need some volume.
Mm-hmm. They they sell products, but then you have to actually use them.
Right.
Yeah, and that's too much.
A product? I don't know how to do stuff now. Sorry.
It's still your turn.
Yeah, I'm going to continue. So God will say to Noah, "Why have you ignored what I told you? You have created another generation so that you might bring contempt upon my power." Noah will say, "I testify before the might of your arm that the generation of these people did not come from me or my sons." Seems to be another big textual break. About 5 lines missing or are untranslatable.
Hooray.
There's literally just
Whoa,
the word.
whoa! There's an entire paragraph you're missing.
Really?
Yeah. It says, "For this reason I shall give the earth to you and your sons, and sovereignty shall rule over it and your sons, and from you no seed will come forth of men who do not stand in my presence for another God." Oh, no. Never mind. They just repeat the same phrasing.
Okay. So there's just the word knowledge by itself, probably gnosis. Then it continues, those people will be brought into the land they deserve, and a holy dwelling place will be built for them. They will be called by that name and live there 600 years in knowledge of incorruptibility, and angels of the great light will be with them. They will have no improper thought in their hearts, but only the knowledge of God. So whatever good generation he would have been talking about, probably supposed to be the Sethians, and they're the ones with the true knowledge of God,
Right.
and they're going to be living happily ever after.
And now we are into chapter 4.
Yeah.
The final chapter. Then Noah will divide all the earth among his sons, Ham and Japheth and Shem. He will say to them, "My sons, hear my words." Oh my. So you can... The revelation which Adam taught his son Seth in the 700th year, saying, "Listen to my words, my son Seth."
Oh, yeah.
So he starts off this conversation saying this.
Oh,
and then this Noah guy's going to die. And he's going to say to his sons,
right, there you
"Listen to my words, my sons.
Right.
And let me tell you my story."
It's the Russian doll.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Or the coder's infinite parentheses.
That too, yeah.
Behold!
Behold!
I have divided the earth among you. This is like in Kung Pao. Have you ever seen Kung Pao?
No, I haven't.
You need to see Kung Pao.
Yeah, he does.
You definitely need to see Kung Pao. You're going to love it.
Okay.
But there's a bit in it where it's like, he told me that there would be a chosen one. And then there's a flashback, and he's like, "There will be a chosen one." And then he's like, "He told me it would be significant." Flashback. It will be significant, right? This is exactly what happened. It's like,
yes, it is.
Noah divided the earth, and he's like, "My son, listen, I'm going to do this thing." And then Noah divided the earth. Yeah. But serve him in fear and subjection all the days of your life. Do not let your seed depart from the face of God the Almighty. 5 lines missing. God the Almighty. The title God the Almighty, like God who created us.
Yeah, because it says
Greek Pantokrator.
Yeah, it also says here, from the face of God, the ruler of the universe.
Mm-hmm. It designates the inferior creator, demiurge. It's a frequent epithet of God in the Septuagint. When he says God the Almighty, it is the demiurge, not the Father, who is
not
the
the true Father,
not the uber pleroma Father,
the fake father.
Right?
Yeah,
yeah.
not Big Daddy. Then Shem. Footnote. The separate mention of Ham and Japheth a few lines below makes the reconstruction of the name of Shem very likely here.
Right, because it seems that the restoration is tentative but reasonable.
Mm-hmm. The story in Genesis 9:20 through 27 singles out Ham negatively over against Shem and Japheth. Canaan, Ham's son, is said to be a slave to Shem and Japheth is said to dwell in the tents of Shem. By identifying Shem, ancestor of the Israelites, so closely with Noah and God, the Almighty, the Apocalypse of Adam seems to show an anti-Jewish bias, which is not uncommon in Gnostic sources.
Right, yeah.
So, then Shem, the son of Noah, will say, "My seed will be pleasing before you and before your power. Put a seal on it with your strong hand." In fear,
your strong hand,
in fear of commandment, so that all the seed has come forth from me will not be inclined away from you and God the Almighty, but they will serve in humility and fear of their knowledge. Then from the seed of Ham and Japheth, others will go, 400,000 men. So the number 400,000 may be simply a large round number. The Manichaean Homilies 68:18 refers to 400,000 righteous, and Josephus, Antiquities of the Jews 7:13-1.
We got that. Hold on.
Uses the same number of the tribe of Judah. Here it apparently refers to non-Jewish converts to the race of Sethian Gnostics.
Hold on. What was the
Antiquities of the Jews 7:13-1.
Okay, so it should be around here somewhere. That's an 8, 7, 13, 1. Okay. 7, 13, 1. Now, let's see, where does the reference 400,000?
That's the number of the tribe of Judah.
Right. So, all right, so accordingly the king commanded Joab, the captain of his host, to go and number the whole multitude, but when he said there was... Hold on, how many tens of thousands? But when he said there was no necessity for such a numeration, he was not persuaded to countermand it, but he enjoined him to make no delay, but to go about the numbering of the Hebrews immediately. So Joab took with him the heads of the tribes and the scribes and went over the country of Israel and took notice how numerous the multitude were, and returned to Jerusalem to the king after 9 months and 20 days. And he gave in to the king the number of people without the tribe of Benjamin, for he had not yet numbered that tribe, no more than the tribe of Levi. For the king repented of his having sinned against God. Now the number of the rest of the Israelites was 900,000 men who were able to bear arms and go to war, but the tribe of Judah by itself was 400,000 men.
Yeah. But it would seem strange for that
to be a reference at all.
It's the same numbers, but, well, it's a large round number.
It is. So it's not like you can't find it in other places.
Yeah. I don't think that the exact numbers in any of the biblical texts really are. Well, first of all, they wouldn't be accurate for a lot of things.
Right.
But I don't think that they're necessarily that important. I think
they're
that
not. It's just big.
The point
it's sometimes either completeness if you're using sevens.
Yeah.
Or it's completeness of completeness when you're using 49.
They have a specific
It's a typological
image
number.
that they're trying to convey using their numerology system. At least in the Old Testament. I don't really in the New
There's
Testament.
not so much of it in the New.
Not so much.
Oh.
But you do see the 666.
That is one.
616.
It's 666. Probably originally. So they're very excited to get to that. Yeah.
Yeah, but otherwise you don't really see that much of it.
Right. Yeah.
But when they give like a big number, it's really just supposed to mean a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right? Unless it's like 77777.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like we're gonna have like the 144,000 in Revelation.
Mhm.
This one might be a reference to something, but it could also just be a big number. So
Yeah. Okay. We were talking about Shem. Put a seal on it. They will serve in humility and fear of their knowledge. Then from the seed of Ham and Japheth others will go, 400,000 men, and will enter into another land and sojourn with those men who came forth from the great eternal knowledge. For the shadow of their power will guard those who have sojourned among them from every evil deed and every foul desire. Then the seed of Ham and Japheth will make 12 kingdoms. 12 kingdoms may be modeled on the 12 tribes of Israel.
Sure,
In the
makes sense.
Septuagint of Genesis 10:2 and 10:6. There are 12 sons of Japheth and Ham. For the 12 plus 1, see for reference the 13 kingdoms mentioned below, which may have parallels in not-commodity documents, such as the Gospel of the Egyptians.
not just that, but do you remember which book was it? Was it the Wisdom of Ben Sira, or was it a different text that was using like it would use numbers in a way that it's like, X and then X plus 1. Do you remember that motif? Where it'd be like 7, no, 8 of something.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a common literary device. So this might be something like that.
Mm-hmm.
A trope.
It might be something like that. And their other seed will enter the kingdom of another people. 3 lines missing.
Great.
Great aeons of imperishability. That's the end of chapter 4. But I did want, Great Balls of Fire.
Yeah.
You should take the image for that EP, and do great.
Wait, so that was
of
the end of chapter 4
imperishability.
for you?
Yeah, that's the end of chapter 4.
Oh, okay.
That's why
Cool.
I wanted to switch off for the last tiny bit here.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
Because next
Great
week,
Aeons of Imperishability. You should have named the episode Great Aeons of Imperishability. Come on.
you could have written a song for it. Because you're very good at that.
gracious. Great Aeons of Imperishability.
Yeah, I could see you writing something like that as a song. I don't know. You'd probably make it pretty decent.
It
Yeah.
would just be a shitty cover of Great
Yeah, shitty remix.
Balls. Like Weird Al it.
Yep.
I could get someone
Right,
to play
yeah.
the accordion.
You should. You should learn how to play the accordion.
No.
Wait, actually, don't you have, or didn't you used to have an accordion?
No,
No,
Sarah had
that was
it.
Sarah. Yeah, that was Sarah.
And Dan.
And Dan.
Does he really?
Well, Dan had a full-size accordion.
Oh, okay.
Sarah only had the
little one.
the 1 octave,
Yeah. Either way.
which is not useful, by the way. Like 1 octave instruments. I like 1 octave instruments. Okay, I like little flutes and.
I like them, but they
stuff,
suck.
But they suck.
Ruben,
Yeah.
2023.
Yeah.
I thought they'd blow.
They could.
No.
Either way.
Anyways.
So the next week we are going over the Illuminator of Knowledge stuff.
Yeah, but
And
on,
Sakla.
on Sunday, we've got a special feature for you. Right?
Wait. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we're doing a
Second and
fiction double feature.
Yeah. a double feature. That
Yeah.
is true.
Double feature. Yep, we're doing
Both second and third John.
2nd and 3rd John. So it's. Have we ever done a double feature?
I feel like we did.
I think we did with one of the prophets.
Yeah, with those super short prophets, right? Let's see. They're
But
like
it's-
right at the end.
Look, it's been a very long time since we've done a double feature. So
True. So it wasn't Joel, wasn't Amos. Was it Micah? Was he? No, not Micah. Nahum and Habakkuk? Or no?
Might have been.
No, Haggai and no. What? I don't know.
Yeah.
Which one did we do as double
I
feature?
think
of?
we did a double feature.
We must have. Done at least
pretty
one
sure.
double feature. I think we did.
But maybe we
Something
were
was
like
so
at
short.
the end of one and we did like the first of another. or
I remember we did
something.
that for Friday Apocryphal podcast once.
We did that once.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But either way, we'll check back.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But the important thing is that on Sunday we're having a double feature.
Not only a double feature, I believe this Sunday we will also have Dr. Williams on.
Your professor?
Yes,
Ah.
Oh.
Well,
if he remembers,
Dr. Williams
I'll message him actually.
will surely enjoy our double Has he seen?
I don't think he's seen it,
Oh,
but
dear.
he's pretty chill. So
He should be sure to familiarize himself with what we do.
with the format, yeah.
Yeah, probably.
It'd be good if he did. Otherwise, he'd be coming in here like, "What the fuck are these
You know,
guys
it'd
doing?"
be great if he like really liked it and talked it up to everyone in the religious studies.
It would have been they'd be talking it up to 3 people.
Yeah, yeah. Did you watch that video that I sent you?
I watched part of it. Yeah, so I get that it's like a cutthroat kind of feel.
It goes very in depth, which is why I sent it to you. So Jackson Crawford, ancient Norse specialist, right?
Okay.
He's talking about his experiences working in academia. So not only does he get paid garbage, like not only garbage, like when he got a job being a glorified like attendant at a museum,
Okay, sure.
and not even a glorified one, he was paid more than he was as the head of the ancient Norse.
Right.
department.
Yeah. Like I'm
Right.
not gonna like expect like a whole bunch of money as a teacher.
And he was getting like literally like physically threatened and harassed by other people in the department to do work for them. So
Why?
he was talking about how when he was coming up in ancient Norse, the professor was the head of the department, would literally like physically threaten him to write papers so that the professor could publish it under their name.
That
Like-
doesn't seem like a common practice.
Wow.
No,
That's so
probably not a common practice, but it's a crazy video. I highly
Okay.
recommend watching it all the way through.
Okay.
But how often do you think that happens in religious studies?
I sure hope not often.
Do you think-
Holy shit, that's
Do
crazy.
you think that Bart Ehrman has ever threatened someone's life to get them to write
be fair,
something
to be
for
fair,
him?
have you seen Bart Ehrman?
No.
I don't think he's threatening
I've heard
anyone's
his
life.
voice.
I don't think he's threatening
He doesn't
anyone's life.
sound like a threatening guy. But I've never heard Bart Ehrman mad. So
Right. Yeah. But I imagine
maybe we can ask him. Bart,
Have
you
you
ever
ever
threatened
threatened someone?
someone's life in order to get them to write something that you could publish with your name on it? Now he'll say no. And we'll say,
But that's to be
come on,
expected.
Bart.
That's
Off the record.
that's what a guy who didn't do.
Right,
say,
yeah.
But that's also what a guy who would.
That's
do that
exactly that's exactly what a guilty person would say.
He probably didn't do it, but did anyone who contributed to Erdman's commentary on the Bible do it?
I have no idea.
Who knows? How common is it?
I hope it's not common.
Yeah, you
If-
should hope it's not.
If
common.
it is common, I'm threatening them back
Yeah.
to write a paper under my name.
Yeah.
And we'll see how that goes.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, guys.
That's right. Did you put the thing up?
I posted a T-shirt.
You post okay.
The rest of the shit's in the description, right?
Yeah.
It's all there. You know what to do.
Sorry, the one thing I do want to say: join the Discord.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Join the Discord.
Our Discord should be more than just people who are on Aaron's show.
Right.
We're
Yes.
not the Aaron Raw Discord.
No,
We are not.
We are just subverting any chance of that ever happening.
Reached on to Aaron's audience like a vampire sucking the lifeblood away.
I love being a life-sucking vampire.
Once we have taken everyone who views Aaron Ra, then
We'll move on to the next Discord.
we'll move on to Cosmic Skeptic.
Yeah, all right,
He's the next one. We're coming for you.
Yeah,
well-
yeah. All the shilling